Have you ever felt a sudden heaviness in your chest after receiving an envious glance? Have you noticed moments where everything seemed to go well until a single person looked at you with that piercing, unspoken energy of jealousy? Across cultures, religions, and centuries, there has been one belief that refuses to vanish: the belief in the evil eye. This is not just superstition whispered among villagers or etched into ancient charms. It is a phenomenon that mystics, sages, and entire civilizations have taken seriously. From the deserts of Mesopotamia to the temples of Egypt, from the markets of Greece to the shrines of India, the evil eye has been feared as a silent weapon, one that requires no blade, no poison, no physical act of harm. Just a look, a gaze charged with envy, resentment, or ill will. But what is truly happening beneath the surface when the evil eye strikes? Is it simply psychological, an inner fear that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy? Or is it something far more subtle and mysterious, a disruption of the very energy field that protects and sustains life? In this video, we will journey into the hidden dangers of the evil eye. We will explore its origins in ancient wisdom, the philosophical reasoning behind why a glance could carry such destructive power, and the real spiritual consequences of being struck by it. We will uncover stories, warnings, and teachings that reveal why cultures across the world developed amulets, prayers, and rituals of protection. And finally, we will go beyond the legends, into the realm of practice, where I will share methods you can use to protect yourself, to strengthen your inner light, and to turn envy into fuel for spiritual growth. Because if the eye can wound, it can also awaken.
The evil eye is not a myth bound to one culture. It is a shadow that has followed humanity across continents and centuries, shaping beliefs, rituals, and spiritual defenses. To understand its danger, we must first look at its roots in the wisdom of the ancients. In Mesopotamia, one of the oldest civilizations known to man, clay tablets describe rituals to avert the malevolent gaze. They believed envy was not merely an emotion, but a spiritual force that could leap from the heart of the envious person through their eyes, striking the victim like an invisible arrow. To guard against it, they inscribed protective symbols on walls, jewelry, and even livestock. For the belief was that nothing, human, animal, or crop, was beyond the reach of a cursed look. In ancient Egypt, the power of the eye took on a dual nature. The eye of Horus was revered as a talisman of protection, healing, and restoration. Yet the Egyptians also feared the inverse, an eye corrupted by envy or hatred. Their priests taught that the eyes are windows of the soul, conduits of divine or destructive energy. Thus, when the gaze was misused, it became a channel of chaos, unsettling the harmony that Ma'at, the principle of cosmic order, demanded. The Greeks called it baskania, the act of cursing with the eyes. Philosophers like Plutarch speculated that the human eye emitted invisible rays capable of transmitting emotions, and when charged with envy, these rays could wither the vitality of another. Even the mighty Alexander the Great was said to wear charms to shield himself from the evil eye. The Romans, inheriting Greek thought, placed blue glass amulets in their homes and on their children, convinced that envy's poison was especially potent against the young and innocent. In the Middle East and Islamic tradition, the evil eye, al-ain, is taken with utmost seriousness. The Prophet Muhammad himself warned against it, saying, "The evil eye is real." Protective verses from the Quran, such as Surah Al-Falaq and Surah Al-Nas, are still recited today to shield oneself from its effects. In India, the concept of drishti, or the malicious gaze, carries the same weight. Mothers still perform rituals of waving chili peppers or salt around their children to absorb and dispel the harmful energies of envy. In Hindu philosophy, the eye is a chakra point of energy emission, and thus envy, when concentrated, can pierce another's aura. Even in Christianity, traces of this belief remain. Medieval churches carved evil eye stones into their walls, and folk prayers against the envious gaze survive in rural communities to this day. What unites all these traditions is a profound recognition. The eyes are not passive instruments of vision. They are active transmitters of energy. They can bless or curse, heal or harm. To the ancients, envy was not just a private feeling, it was a contagion of the spirit, and if left unchecked, it could erode not only relationships, but the very vitality of life. Thus, the evil eye stands as one of humanity's earliest lessons about unseen forces, that what we project outward inevitably shapes the world around us. To the mystics, this was proof that thoughts and emotions are not locked within us. They ripple outward like waves, carried on the current of the gaze.
To truly understand the spiritual dangers of the evil eye, we must move beyond superstition and into the realm of energy, consciousness, and subtle reality. What the ancients intuited through myth and ritual, modern seekers can explore through the language of energy fields, vibrations, and resonance. At its heart, the evil eye is not about the eye itself, it is about the force of envy. Envy is one of the most corrosive energies in the human spectrum. Unlike anger, which often burns quickly and fades, or fear, which contracts inward, envy is slow, persistent, and parasitic. It feeds on comparison and thrives on the suffering of others. When envy is present, it does not want balance, it wants imbalance. It wants to pull down what is elevated, to dim what shines, to weaken what is strong. Now imagine this force concentrated through the focus of attention. Attention is the most powerful tool of consciousness. Whatever we place our attention on, we empower. If that attention is infused with love, it blesses. If infused with malice, it curses. Thus, when someone looks at you with envy, their gaze becomes a weaponized form of attention, a carrier wave of destructive intent. Mystics across traditions have described the human aura, a subtle energy that surrounds the body, interwoven with our vitality, emotions, and thoughts. Just as a stone dropped into a pond sends ripples across its surface, an envious gaze can send disruptive vibrations into this energy field. The stronger the envy, the more jagged and chaotic the ripple. And if your own energy field is weak, due to fatigue, fear, or lack of spiritual grounding, these vibrations can penetrate deeply, manifesting as sudden illness, fatigue, or a streak of misfortune. Think of your aura as a fortress. When you are centered, calm, and spiritually awake, your walls are strong, radiant, and resilient. But when you are scattered, insecure, or consumed by material concerns, cracks form in the fortress walls. Envy sees those cracks and seeps in like water through stone. The evil eye does not create weakness, it exploits weakness already present. There are three primary dangers of the evil eye as described by sages and mystics. Drain of vital energy. The first and most immediate danger is energetic depletion. Victims often describe sudden tiredness, headaches, or a heavy feeling after receiving envious looks. This is not mere psychology, it is the literal siphoning of life force energy. Envy seeks to level the playing field by robbing the other of their surplus vitality. Distortion of destiny. The second danger lies in the disruption of the flow of one's life path. In esoteric traditions, each person's destiny is seen as a river. Envy, when projected with force, throws stones into this river, creating blockages and diversions. Opportunities vanish, relationships sour, and the smooth current of life becomes turbulent. This is why many cultures believe that envy can cause careers to collapse or marriages to fracture. Spiritual regression. The third and deepest danger is spiritual. The evil eye entangles the victim in the lower vibrations of fear, self-doubt, and defensiveness. Instead of ascending toward greater awareness, the person becomes trapped in survival mode.
In some cases, people unconsciously begin to dim their own light, hiding their successes or talents in order to avoid attracting envy. This is the most tragic consequence of all, when the fear of being envied leads a soul to bury its gifts. But here lies the paradox. The evil eye is not only a danger, it is also a teacher. It reveals to us the hidden reality of interconnection. We do not live in isolation. Our thoughts, emotions, and gazes ripple into the world around us. The evil eye is a stark reminder that consciousness itself is contagious. To illustrate this, let us turn to an analogy. Imagine two tuning forks placed side by side. Strike one, and the other begins to vibrate in resonance, even without being touched. The human aura works in a similar way. When envy is strong, it sends out jagged vibrations that disturb the resonance of another's energy. But the opposite is also true. A heart filled with compassion and inner light can transmit vibrations of healing and blessing simply by being present. Thus, the evil eye exposes a truth long hidden in plain sight. We are constantly influencing one another through invisible currents of energy. And it is this recognition that turns mere superstition into spiritual wisdom. Finally, consider this. Why have cultures across the world developed charms, prayers, and rituals for protection? Not because they all shared the same folklore, but because they all touched the same unseen reality. The Nazar amulet of Turkey, the Hamsa hand of North Africa, the blue eye of Greece, the mantras of India, the protective psalms of Christianity, all are expressions of one universal truth, that envy is a force and protection is a necessity. To dismiss the evil eye as just a myth is to overlook the profound understanding encoded in humanity's oldest traditions. It is to ignore the wisdom of those who, without microscopes or physics, still knew that unseen forces shape our lives. The ancients did not need scientific instruments to perceive the reality of energy. They felt it, lived it, and built their lives around it. And so, the first half of our exploration leaves us with a crucial insight. The evil eye is not superstition, it is a spiritual law. Envy distorts energy, weakens vitality, and alters destiny. But it can also awaken us to the truth that energy flows through every glance, every thought, every emotion.
In the first half of our exploration, we uncovered the spiritual mechanics of the evil eye. Envy weaponized through attention, penetrating the aura, draining vitality, and disrupting destiny. Now we journey deeper to examine the subtler dangers, the hidden dynamics, and the paradoxical ways in which the evil eye is not only a threat, but also a mirror of human consciousness. The mirror of envy. The evil eye is dangerous not only because of what it projects outward, but because of what it reflects back to us. Every time someone envies us, they are in fact holding up a mirror to our own radiance. If we had no light, no abundance, no success, envy could not find us. Thus, the evil eye is a backhanded recognition of one's gifts. But herein lies the trap. If we respond to envy with fear, by hiding, shrinking, or dimming ourselves, we unconsciously hand over our power. This is the greatest danger of the evil eye. It can make us betray our own destiny. Many people, after repeated experiences of being envied, begin to suppress their talents. The singer sings less boldly. The entrepreneur becomes afraid of success. The healer hides their gifts, not because their path is wrong, but because they fear the weight of attention. The spiritual consequence is profound. When we bury our light, we deny the very purpose for which we incarnated. In this way, the evil eye can derail not only a career or a relationship, but the soul's mission itself. The web of consciousness. Another subtle danger lies in what mystics call the web of consciousness.
Human beings are not isolated islands. We are nodes in a vast network of energy. Thoughts, emotions, and intentions are threads that connect us with one another. Envy, when projected, does not simply affect one person. It reverberates through the entire web. Consider a family where one sibling envies another's success. That envy does not remain locked between them. It seeps into the relationships of parents, spouses, and even children. The entire family dynamic shifts, often leading to division and mistrust. Likewise, in communities or workplaces, a single envious gaze can poison the collective atmosphere, creating suspicion, competition, and disunity. This is why sages have said, envy is not just a personal sin, it is a social disease. It corrodes the invisible bonds of trust that hold people together. The evil eye, then, is not merely an individual curse, it is a crack in the fabric of human unity. Envy as a spiritual parasite. The ancients often described envy as a parasite of the soul. Unlike other emotions, envy is rarely satisfied. Anger may fade once expressed. Sadness may soften with time, but envy festers. It feeds not on healing, but on repetition. The more often the envious person thinks of their target, the more energy is siphoned. This creates a parasitic loop where the envier unconsciously clings to the vitality of the envied. But here is the paradox. The parasite consumes both hosts. The victim may lose energy, but the envious one corrodes themselves from within. In many traditions, envy is seen as self-poisoning. As one medieval proverb warns, envy shoots at others but wounds itself. Therefore, the evil eye is a double-edged curse. Vulnerability and resonance. Why are some people more vulnerable to the evil eye than others? The answer lies in resonance. When an envious gaze meets a person whose aura is weak, fragmented, or already vibrating with insecurity, the destructive energy resonates like a note striking a brittle glass. But when the aura is strong, radiant with self-knowledge, humility, and inner light, the same envious glance may bounce off harmlessly, like an arrow striking a shield. This is why children, the sick, and the spiritually ungrounded are often seen as the most vulnerable. Their energy fields are delicate, unfortified, and easily disturbed. Conversely, saints, sages, and spiritually awakened individuals are often described as immune to the evil eye, not because they are never envied, but because their resonance is beyond the reach of envy's vibration. Their light transforms the arrow into dust. The subtle forms of the evil eye. The danger of the evil eye is not always overt. Sometimes it hides in subtle forms. Self-inflicted evil eye. When we envy ourselves, looking back at past versions of who we were with resentment or forward at imagined futures with jealousy, we can project the evil eye on our own life. Negative self-comparison becomes a curse cast inward. Accidental evil eye. Not all envy is malicious. Sometimes admiration tinged with unconscious jealousy can still transmit disruptive energy. A friend who praises your success while secretly wishing they had it too may, without intent, project the evil eye. Collective evil eye. At times, entire societies project envy onto individuals who stand out, artists, visionaries, or spiritual teachers. History is filled with examples of great souls who were cut down, not by one enemy, but by the collective resentment of the many. And yet, within all these dangers lies a hidden gift. The evil eye forces us to awaken to three truths. Energy is real.
What we feel, think, and project has tangible consequences. Light attracts shadows. The brighter we shine, the more likely we are to attract envy. But the presence of envy is proof of our radiance. Protection is possible. The same laws that allow energy to harm also allow it to heal. Conscious practice can transform vulnerability into strength. Thus, the evil eye, though dangerous, is also an initiation. It asks us, will you shrink because others resent your light, or will you grow brighter still, learning to protect and channel your energy with wisdom? In this way, the evil eye becomes less of a curse and more of a spiritual test. It is the crucible in which we learn resilience, humility, and responsibility for the energy we emit and receive. And as we will explore in the next section, the ancients did not leave us defenseless. They handed down powerful tools, rituals, and techniques to guard against the gaze of envy and to transmute its poison into power.
We have traced the evil eye from its ancient origins to its spiritual mechanics, and we now arrive at the most crucial part: how to protect yourself from it, and how to turn its shadow into a force for awakening. Knowledge without application remains incomplete, and the ancients never left such wisdom in theory alone. They forged rituals, prayers, and practices to shield themselves from envy's arrows. 1. Strengthening the aura, your spiritual armor. The first line of defense is not an amulet or a charm, it is your own energy field. Think of your aura as a luminous shield, a fortress of light. The stronger and more radiant your aura, the less susceptible you are to the evil eye. Meditation on light. Visualize yourself surrounded by a sphere of golden light, radiant and impenetrable. With each inhale, imagine drawing cosmic energy into this sphere. With each exhale, see it growing brighter, thicker, and stronger. Do this daily, especially before entering environments where envy may lurk. Breathwork. Deep, rhythmic breathing stabilizes the aura. A scattered breath means scattered energy. A steady breath builds a steady shield. Try inhaling for a count of 4, holding for 4, exhaling for 4, and pausing for 4. Repeat until calm and centered. Purity of heart. Nothing strengthens the aura more than genuine compassion. When you harbor envy yourself, your aura weakens. When you cultivate gratitude and goodwill, it glows like fire. Rituals of cleansing, removing the poison. Even the strongest fortress gathers dust. At times you may feel the heaviness of the evil eye. Ritual cleansing resets and clears your field. Saltwater bath. Salt has been revered as a purifier in every tradition. Add a handful of sea salt to your bath or soak your feet in salt water while visualizing all negativity dissolving into the water. Smoke cleansing. Burn sage, frankincense, or sandalwood. As the smoke rises, let it sweep through your aura, cleansing the residue of envy. Fire ritual. Write the names of people or situations where you feel envy's presence. Burn the paper, releasing attachment, and affirm, "Only light surrounds me. Only love sustains me." Protective symbols and amulets. Across the world, humanity has created sacred symbols to counteract the evil eye. Their power lies not only in cultural belief, but in the focus of intention. The nazar, blue eye, common in Turkey and Greece. This symbol deflects envy's gaze by reflecting it back. Wear it as jewelry, hang it in your home, or place it at entrances. The Hamsa hand, revered in North Africa and the Middle East. It is the hand of blessing, guarding against harm. Crosses, mandalas, and yantras. Choose a sacred symbol aligned with your spiritual tradition. Symbols focus the mind and channel protective energy into tangible form. Sacred words and vibrations. Words carry vibration.
and vibration shapes energy. Prayers, chants, and mantras are among the most powerful tools against the evil eye. From Islam, recite Surah al-Falaq and Surah al-Nas, known as the chapters of refuge. From Christianity, Psalm 91 and the Lord's Prayer are invoked for divine protection. From Hinduism, the Gayatri Mantra, recited with devotion, surrounds the chanter with luminous energy. From universal practice, simply repeating, "Light surrounds me, light protects me," with conviction, generates a shield of intention. Conscious living, the everyday shield. Protection is not only ritual, it is lifestyle. To live consciously is to build resilience against envy. Humility and discretion. Do not flaunt your blessings unnecessarily. Ancient wisdom teaches, "The fruit-laden branch bends low." Share your abundance wisely, without provoking envy. Gratitude. The envious mind feeds on lack. Gratitude rewires your field to abundance, making you less susceptible to projections. Discernment of company. Some people emit envy habitually. Learn to sense when someone's admiration carries poison. Protect your boundaries without hostility. Transmutation, turning envy into power. Here lies the higher path, not merely defense, but transformation. When you feel the sting of the evil eye, you can choose to let it drain you or to use it as fuel. Awareness as alchemy. When you sense envy directed at you, instead of shrinking, breathe deeply and affirm, "This energy is mine to transform." Imagine drawing the jagged vibration into your aura, where it dissolves and strengthens your light. Blessing the envious. This may sound paradoxical, but wishing well for those who envy you is a supreme act of mastery. By blessing them, you break the cycle of energy exchange, leaving them no foothold. Service as remedy. If envy is the poison of comparison, service is the antidote. When you redirect your blessings towards helping others, envy loses its grip, for your success becomes a river that nourishes many. Guarding against self-inflicted envy. Remember, we can cast the evil eye on ourselves. Constant comparison, resentment of our past, or jealousy of imagined futures can weaken us as much as any external gaze. Self-compassion. Speak to yourself as you would to a beloved child. Replace harsh comparisons with gentle encouragement. Mindful consumption. Social media is a breeding ground of envy. Be mindful of how often you expose yourself to curated images that trigger comparison. Celebrate your light. Every morning, name one gift, one talent, or one blessing within yourself. Acknowledge it. By doing so, you become less vulnerable to your own shadows. The higher protection, alignment with the divine. Ultimately, the greatest shield against the evil eye is alignment with the divine will. When your life is anchored in a higher purpose, no envy can derail you, for you know the light you carry is not yours alone. Prayer of surrender. Offer your life, talents, and blessings to the source. When you see yourself as a vessel of divine will, you no longer fear envy, for you know the light you carry is not yours alone. Living in service. Align your success with service to humanity. When people see your light as nourishing others, their envy often transforms into respect or even inspiration. The ancients were clear: protection is not paranoia, it is wisdom. Just as we lock our doors at night not out of fear, but out of prudence, so too must we guard our energy. The evil eye is a reality of human interaction, but so too is the power of the awakened soul. When you walk through life radiating humility, gratitude, compassion, and divine alignment, envy cannot harm you. It may surround you, but it cannot penetrate. Instead, it becomes a reminder that your light is strong enough to stir the shadows and strong enough to overcome them.
The evil eye has haunted humanity's imagination for millennia. From Mesopotamian tablets to Egyptian temples, from Greek philosophers to Islamic prophets, from Hindu rituals to Christian prayers, every culture has warned us of its dangers. And yet, when we look beyond the myths and the charms, we find a profound truth. The evil eye is not merely about a glance, it is about energy, envy, and consciousness. We began this journey by asking, how can a look wound the soul? And now we see clearly. It is not the eye itself, but the attention infused with envy that becomes a weapon. It drains vitality, disrupts destiny, and entangles us in fear. It is subtle, invisible, and yet deeply felt. The evil eye is both personal and collective, both accidental and intentional. It is as old as humanity's first comparisons and as present as today's social media feeds. But to fear it blindly is to miss its deeper teaching. The evil eye is not only a curse, it is a mirror. It reveals the power of attention, the fragility of our aura, and the hidden interconnectedness of human souls. It forces us to ask, what energy am I projecting into the world? Am I blessing others with my gaze or cursing them with my envy? And when others project envy upon me, will I shrink or will I grow brighter still? The dangers are real. Envy corrodes, divides, and siphons energy like a spiritual parasite. But protection is equally real. Through meditation, ritual cleansing, protective symbols, and sacred words, we can shield ourselves. Through humility, gratitude, and discernment, we can live consciously, avoiding the traps of comparison. And through higher alignment with compassion, service, and surrender to the divine, we can rise above envy altogether. The greatest secret, however, is transformation. The evil eye is a challenge, but also an initiation. It asks us to master energy, to awaken to our own light, and to carry that light boldly, even in the face of envy. To bless instead of curse, to serve instead of flaunt, to shine instead of hide. In this way, what was once a danger becomes a catalyst for awakening. So the next time you feel the weight of an envious gaze, remember, you are not powerless. Your aura is your armor. Your compassion is your shield. Your purpose is your anchor. The evil eye may seek to dim you, but only you decide whether your light will fade or whether it will blaze brighter than ever. The ancients handed us this wisdom not to frighten us, but to empower us. They wanted us to remember that we are energetic beings in an interconnected web of consciousness, that every glance matters, that every thought ripples outward, and that protection, at its highest, is not about hiding. It is about living with such authenticity and alignment that no envy can touch you. So I leave you with this question. Will you let envy's gaze weaken you, or will you use it as the fire that tempers your soul? Remember, the eye can wound, but it can also awaken. And the greatest protection is not to fear the darkness, but to embody the light so fully that no darkness can remain. If this message has resonated with you, I invite you to reflect deeply on how the evil eye may have touched your own life. Share your thoughts, your stories, or your protective practices in the comments below, because by speaking of it, you take away its hidden power. And if you wish to continue exploring the mysteries of ancient wisdom and spiritual practice, be sure to subscribe to this channel. Together we will walk the path of light through the shadows of forgotten truths. For in the end, wisdom is not about escaping the world's dangers,
It is about walking through them, awakened, radiant, and free.